This is Julie Salant from Motivation Addict. Stay tuned for part 2 of my interview with Sandra Mendelson. Hi, and thank you for joining us today. You're listening to Radio Ear Network, and I'm your host, Julie Salant, and this is Motivation Addict on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. This is Julie Salant from Motivation Addict. Stay tuned for part 2 of my interview with Sandra Mendelson. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on disconnecting. Disconnecting and grounding ourselves. It doesn't matter where you are in your spiritual journey. Just as a human being, caring about the planet and caring about life around you, whether you have a dog or a cat or whatever, what are your thoughts on disconnecting and how we can bring back the joy to our lives?
So glad that you brought that up, because I was on the phone with a client yesterday, and after I did an animal communication session, we then had a personal session because she's an empath. And she'll walk into the barn, or she'll feel, and so for people that are energetically super sensitive, like she and me, you can't walk around crying all the time. We chose a very powerful time to be here and a very internal time to be here. Well, you and I are not on the battlefield with guns. We're very fortunate for that. So the heavy lifting is in finding the love inside, finding peace and allowing that, right? To have some peace time, some joy time, go dance, whatever it is. And you know what? Because you know what? If you are tapped in all the time, remember the human body was not designed to respond to things that are going on 500,000 miles away from, about which you can do nothing. So what do you think is happening to our nervous systems? We're bombarded by stuff we feel over the internet and all the various sources from social media or email. This is the first generation, or let's just say everybody alive now, that has been bombarded by this energy. We used to live, right? I called you. We would leave a voicemail and go get our messages at the end of the day. Oh, hello.
Yes.
They waited until the end of the day. Right now, we are like in triage mode all the time. We are constantly managing people's requests for our attention. It's enough to make you batty. And unfortunately, our children are really, really suffering. So yes, I see that what mothers are doing for themselves and their kids, they're taking time like you did. You went out in nature. You got to say, okay, this is a marathon, not a relay race. And I need to respect and nurture my energetic body, or else I won't be able to keep going. It's like being in emotional overwhelm all the time, or energetic overwhelm. So disconnecting,
Yes.
Saying there's a time for everything. How much time do you spend at your computer? Again, do you think the human body was designed to be pounded with EMFs? I don't think so.
No.
That's not how we were up until this point. And now Richard Louv, this writer, coined a term that I actually put in my book, NDD, Nature Deficit Disorder, that there are this full spectrum of, I love it. I think it's so appropriate. You see what happens when you take an animal out of its environment. Doesn't it stand to reason 2/3 of the population of this world lives in cities? And even for those of us who don't, how much time are we spending in nature where we actually were designed to be? As opposed to this constant pummeling of energy that is not our own.
Wow.
So, you can call it disconnecting. You could call it reconnecting with nature. Even if you have to go outside in the rain. I noticed that, and I love my house. I love where I live. And the second I step outside, I have this huge exhale and go, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Even I had a gecko said, get out of buildings. And I'm just living here by myself. But it's Wi-Fi. It's everything. We need to step away.
Step away.
And hear our own heartbeat again. Mm-hmm.
You have, and you just said you completed the second book in the trilogy for children. Why did you decide to write a book? Because I know that there's so many children's books out there. And what's the focus of this one?
It wasn't my idea. It was my dog. It was my dog. And that's why I said, my goodness, I'm talking about you, dude. I kept saying, what happened to you? What happened to you? Because he was found on the side of the road. He ran across the street and jumped into this guy's car. The guy couldn't even tell because he was so overgrown that it was a dog. Oh. So he had you could never brush this dog, and he never stops looking the way he does. That dog was out there for a long time. And so I just kept asking him, what happened to you? He said, I could tell you my story, but I don't dwell on hardship. I'd rather focus on children and having them learn how to tune into their internal eyes and ears, which means their hearts and their bellies or their gut, so they realize how powerful they are and that they can communicate with animals. And I think you should ask the other animals what they want to contribute. I sat down and 12 species immediately came through, and I went, okay, I can't write a fake story. What do I do? She said, but I can turn the messages into rhyme. So Mr. T is the guide, and he takes them on 3 journeys. They meet the animals in the neighborhood on book 1, down on the farm in book 2, and then they're going to go out into the oceans and deserts and forests and jungles of the world in book 3. And each animal shares a secret animal wisdom way so that the kids can become more like the animals and start trusting their intuitive abilities to connect with them as a result. So it's not didactic because it's the animals sharing the way they see things. They look beyond the surface. So in book 1, it's you are love, and animals feel what you feel, and say what you mean and mean what you say, and come outside and be quiet. And book 2, they get really into working with the body. In other words, grounding your energy into the earth. Don't believe everything you see, looking beyond the surface. Don't believe what you hear if someone tells lies about you. What does energy feel like? And then in book 3, we're really going to get into the power of the mind. Like a snake said, the mind is a factory making things that you think. And while some are real good, there are others that stink. So you're going to want to hold on to those thoughts that make you feel good and want to be around people and make others feel good. And you throw out the defective products like you would in a factory. We're going to get more into that stuff. So, if the kids actually do practice these things, making the time to go outside, getting quiet, feeling their energy, not getting sucked into the meanness of humans, they really already are connected to animals. They just have to slow down and practice if they want to. Otherwise, they're just going to end. I hope. It seems that even 9-year-olds are really liking this. They're grabbing the book out of people's hands. So we're talking like 4 up until maybe 10 is the span of the appeal of the book. They'll get what they're ready for, kind of thing.
Great. It's great. It's great.
So
I love it.
So that's that. They're pictures of real animals. It's not illustrated with fantasy because I wanted the kids to connect with animals as they are and their wisdom, not write another children's story that's all fantasy to get a point across.
Right. These are real. This is real. Out of all the animals you've spoken to, what is the strangest thing that an animal said to you? Or the funniest thing, either or the funniest thing.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
I know that's a hard one. I know. I threw something hard at you. Kept fastball.
You threw me quite a curveball because it's been, I don't know, we're up to like over 80 species already. So what was either the funniest or the strangest thing? Oh my God. Well, the funny thing was when the hippo came through, he sounded like Louis Armstrong. So that in and of itself, I'm like, he's talking like, yeah, we heard jazz and we still love it because it's cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't make this up. Yeah. He was that was actually in the book. He's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
So I think that was really funny. And the squirrels are absolutely freaking hilarious. That I think is chapter 5 of the book, where, I'm like, oh my God, this one squirrel just kept quoting music from the 70s. And people can't, one person that read the book was like, you made this up because this squirrel wasn't alive in the 70s. No, it's in the grid. The information is in the grid of life, in the web of life, where they get their information from. And I'm like, you're a throwback. And he was like, I wish there were 2 of me, double the pleasure, double the fun. I'm like, that's a commercial from the 70s. That was Doublemint Gum. How do you know about that? And I said, wait a minute, how come all the music you're talking about is from them? Don't you like popular music? And he's like, I really don't hear it. Did you ever think those ear thingies, meaning earbuds, block us out? We can't hear the signaling. That one blew my mind.
Whoa.
Because they could hear the music in our heads, but I guess it had something to do with our ears. I don't know. It's piecing things together. It's like this enormous puzzle. And every time an animal comes through, even a client pet, I learned different things, especially, what happens on the other side and being ready to come back. And, we all are under the impression that the animal picks the body. But this dog was only on the other side for 3 weeks. The human and the dog could not wait for the dog to come back so they could continue. And the dog's like, I'm ready. I feel great. I want to tell my mom I feel like a puppy. But they keep telling me, they, in quotes, the body hasn't been picked out yet. And and I have to be patient, and they will let me know. And then I can send signals to my mom's subconscious so she knows where to go and get me. I mean, it's like a council of oversouls for each species. I mean,
wow.
There's so much to learn. And again, I'm the first person to tell you, there are people getting this kind of stuff in different countries. A woman in Germany apparently got a lot of the same stuff that I did, and my friend is translating that book. I'm like, really?
Wow.
But it's going to be filtered through your consciousness. It's going to be filtered through my consciousness. Anybody that thinks they're going to strive for some empirical truth, it doesn't exist any more than, I see reality filtered through my eyes and my experience. Right. So I let people know, you can say, get my ego out of the way, but it's still going to be filtered through my brain to get onto the page or out of my mouth.
Right.
If people can understand that, I also keep repeating to people, it's not like you walk through the planet like Dr. Dolittle, where these animals are chatting at you 24/7. Humans would do that, but animals don't.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
they don't just go chat, 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 chat. And they have to angle their minds toward you. They have to want to connect with you.
Yes.
If they have something to say. And as we've said before, a lot of them just tune humans out, and for good reason.
Yes. They're not always, I mean, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand is they think that we just turn this on. Yes, we get onto a frequency that they're on, but some of them don't want to talk to us at all. They have moments, they have personalities, when you're having a down day or you're tired or you're just not feeling it. Simple. I'd rather go over there and graze. I'm not interested right now. I mean, I had one turn her butt to me a couple weeks ago, but then she talked to me the next week. She just wasn't ready that day. So they're just like people in that sense that they have their own personalities. They all have their own souls. We're all connected.
Yep.
So we are running low on time. I could talk with you all day, Sandra, obviously, because I just love you. And there's so much good information for everyone, but I will have all of the links below on how to reach Sandra. And I would really urge you to go get the book. We Walk Beside You. She's an amazing communicator, and she's channeled some amazing animals all over the globe. What would you like to leave the listeners with today?
I guess a twofold thing. As people read this, once in a while, and once in a great while, a person may say, okay, I can't believe that anymore. And that's okay. Most people that are drawn to the book, when they read it, it resonates within them as truth. So I'm telling everybody straight away, I have nothing to prove. This is what I got from the animals. I just kept saying, what do you want us to know? What do you want us to know? And it is from a high place. You will not read this book and get depressed, because the animals know that what you focus on grows. So what they are asking of us is to continue to manifest with our minds, keep focusing only on what we want to see and experience,